Good morning. For those of you that are still confused with how to do data tables, I thought I'd make a quick tutorial to help you through making your own. I'm going to use version A of the two ways that I showed you you could create your data tables. So, to create your first data table, you first make sure your cursor is away from any other words you have because you don't want it right up against something, otherwise it gets hard to move later. So as you can see, my cursor's here. I could even move it farther away simply by pressing return again. Once I know my cursor is in a good place, I go up to table. This table, if you count total, there are 5 that you need across and 5 you need down. So once I do that, I click and it inserts it right in there. Now, as you know, along the top of the 3 middle ones, I'm going to highlight them because I actually want those to get merged together so that that can be for measurements. So if I go back up to table after I've highlighted, it has to be in blue like this. If I go up to table, click on it, and scroll down to what we call merge cells. It will put all of these into one. And then I can just click on it again and I can type in the word measurements. Okay. Now, I like a capital to be used at the beginning of each of my labels for a table. Okay. And I like things to be centered when possible. So for this, I'm going to double click to highlight it. And then if we go up to the top here, if you look at these 3 things, it has 3 different ways you can do your justifications, they're called, I guess. And I want a center justification, okay? So now I've created my measurements. Now you know along the left-hand side was going to be for trials, okay? And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to again merge cells. This time I'm going to merge 2 that are above each other. So I'm going to highlight them. They have to be in blue first. And then I go back up to table and I say merge cells. And again, this is going to be trials. And again, I capitalize the T. Make sure you say trials, not trails, because that's easy to do. So, sorry, trial number is what I want to say here. And you can make these bigger if you want. I'm not going to worry about that right now. And for this one, I don't want it centered, okay, because everything on this side is going to go nice and straight down. So this is going to be trial number 1. I don't have to say it again because I have the name already above. Number 2 and number 3. And then here I have my measurements. So I have number 1, and again, this is going to be in millimeters, so I put that in parentheses. It has to be lowercase m's or is not representing millimeters. Number 2, again in millimeters. And number 3 in millimeters. And then I personally like these centered. You don't have to. Really, this first one is much more important to be centered than these. So you can actually kind of choose a little bit on your own which way you like it more. Okay? But I'm going to center these by highlighting them and then pressing the center again. And then over here, this is going to be, we're going to highlight the top 2, go to table, merge cells. This is going to be called my zone of inhibition. And that is going to be in millimeters. Okay? So if I want that to be centered, I can go up here and I can center it. But I don't like it that way. I'm going to go back to this. So for some reason for the ends, I don't like it that way. Okay? There is a way to make it go into the center of the cell, but I'm not seeing that easily right now, so we're not going to worry about that. Okay? Now for each of your data tables, you need to make sure that you have a label on top, a kind of like title for each one. So for me, this is going to be table 1, okay, I should say trials of original Pine-Sol. Okay. Now, the cool thing is, once you create one of these, it's super easy to make more. So I always recommend making the one, and then you can simply highlight the whole thing once you have it all done, and you can say Control C, and then again, move your cursor down so there's room in between, and then you say Control V to paste. All right, and all I'll have to do is change my name, my table name to table 2, trials of, and instead of original Pine-Sol, this is going to be lemon Pine-Sol. Okay? And everything else in there stays exactly the same. So I'm going to again move my cursor, and then I'm going to say Control V again to again paste that exact same thing in there. And again, I'm going to change this to table 3, trials of lavender Pine-Sol for my example. And then we finally have one more table. So you're going to say again, Control V to paste your final one. In this one I will have to change a couple things on. So table 4, this will be trials of, this won't be trials of anything. Highlight the name. We're going to change it to summary of types of Pine-Sol. Okay. And I'm going to change this name over here. Instead of trial number, I'm going to change this to type of Pine-Sol. Okay. And we're going to have original. We're going to have lemon. And we're going to have lavender. And again, notice how I'm still capitalizing the first letter of each word so it looks like a nice and neat table. Oh, I didn't notice I said 2 L's in my Pine-Sol. There we go. And this is no longer going to be for measurements. Now this is going to be the trial number. So I'm going to change that. We're going to say the zone of inhibition for each trial. Okay? And I'm going to keep the millimeters in there, but I'm going to change the number 1. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I don't need to change the number 1 because this is going to say this is going to be trial 1. Do I need to? Maybe I'll say that so you guys. Okay, maybe that'll help you understand what you're doing a little bit more to say the name there like this. You don't have to, but maybe it'll make it a little bit more clear to you guys what exactly I'm doing here. Okay? And I just have to change this to the average zone of inhibition. Okay? I'm going to press return because I want it like this. There, I like that better. Okay? And it's not going onto another page on me right now, but in the end, I'll make sure that it doesn't go on different pages. Okay? So I can do that by kind of deleting some extra lines. See if that's enough to put it on one. You guys don't have to worry about it as much, but I'm making this for all of you so you can see. So it's kind of important. All right, and table 4 is what we're going to use once you fill this in. This is going to be what we use to make your actual graph. Okay, remember these are tables, not graphs.